he's discharged. Okay, he's already been off for a week or so, but he's not getting made whole. He's already lost. So then it's up to the employee to file an appeal, okay, to request a post-determination hearing. So they've already determined that he's going to be discharged. They've already taken action. So now we have a post-determination hearing, and it's kind of a repeat, except for the person who was a hearing officer now becomes a presenter for the county. And they put usually the county administrator, assistant, or the designee. You know, it's just usually not too often the actual county administrator. For some reason, he just doesn't want to. But he's the one that's going to be responsible. And then we go through it again. They present their facts, and we present our facts. And then the county administrator either upholds, or like I said, I've only had 2 cases that I advanced to arbitration. We won the first one, and then they just immediately settled the second one because it was the same. It was 2 girls that got fired for the same, reasons, and so that is an idea of a solution. But again, when you just chisel this all down to the root issue, it's just a matter of whether you're going to just completely fight the idea of having a just cause provision in the contract. I think that's what this comes down to. I mean, whether it's in the grievance procedure or not, whether I know I can't have this sentence in there that disciplinary action can't be process of a grievance. I mean, I thought we...
Well, it doesn't have to be there if it can be dealt with somewhere else in the agreement.
And it came out of there. It was initially in there, then it came out of there, and now it's back in there again. And but we both know what the big difference is.
Well, it's back into as a good point of reminder, and obviously a good takeoff point for discussion, that we like the procedure that's set forth currently in the career service rules and regulations. It's been efficient over time. It has worked for the benefit of employees over time, and it doesn't cost anything.
But at the end of the day, the employer has the last word, as opposed to someone neutral on the outside.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's what
that is true, but the record of it demonstrates that it has worked in favor of the employer.
Well, the employees
it
never
served
had
the
a
same
choice.
purposes as the type of grievance that you're describing.
I've said, before that if you want to keep that process in place, that's fine. But at the end of the day, when this appeals board or whatever it was, an employee personnel board, when a personnel board votes by majority, and it's going to have to be a pretty profound case, in my opinion, when we have a panel of 5 people. That or was it 5 or 6? I mean,
5.
It's 5. Okay, it's 5. So they always have a majority. You can never deadlock them.
No. Each commissioner appoints somebody.
Okay. It would have to be a pretty profound case for me to overturn a panel, by a majority voted panel. But if it's a 3-2 split, then obviously it was just one person away from going in the union's favor, and by the time that all flushes out to get to that level, I will have a pretty clear understanding of whether I think I have a case that can be won in arbitration or not. And I'm not opposed to that process. I've said it all along. It's just at the end, though, when we disagree, that we have to have the ability to go to an arbitrator. And again, I just think that that's such a termination is such a serious issue. You don't seem to have any problem with arbitrating a 2-hour overtime grievance over interpretation of language. You don't have a problem with that. But you do have a problem with terminating somebody, by having an arbitrator make that decision.
Because the fact is that those types of disputes over the interpretation or application of the collective bargaining agreement are rare. So we at least have a thought process, we can't anticipate. Maybe we might have one every year or every other year. And you budget for that. Disciplinary appeals are a whole other matter. You could get them every day of the week.
Well, how often,
with a workforce as large as this one.
But in light of what I just said, that preserving the process that's in place now, and it's just in those rare circumstances of discharge. I mean, how many times do you terminate somebody where it gets all the way up to the personnel board? How many times does that happen in a year? Is it a lot?
It's 1 or 2 a year.
Okay, 1 or 2 a year.
How many of them they put back to work?
Good question. How many of those actually how many of those 1 or 2 a year does the employee get put back to work and made whole?
We've had a couple in the last 2 years, probably 3 years.
Would you say it's 50-50 or not so much?
Well, even if it's only 50-50, it's as good as your track record on grievances
I think
with
it's
Citrus
similar.
and Hernando.
I think it's similar. And so the point I'm trying to make is that it's only going to be 1 or 2 times a year that the union has a decision whether to move forward with an arbitration. If that's what your track record is, and that's what our track
No,
record is.
but that's not the number of people I terminate, that's the number that go to the personnel board.
Okay, well, the
Yeah, I
only way it
might-
goes to personnel board is because the employee decides to pursue it.
Right.
Okay.
But you have a lot more opportunity. You know, and I don't know how many I terminate in a year, but obviously that number is a lot more than the
But-
number that go to the personnel board.
But every
So-
employee who is terminated has a clear option to take it to the personnel board
Right.
if they
We
decide to
make
do
that
so.
clear in writing and
Right.
verbally.
So if you terminate, say, 15 people in a year, but only about 2 a year actually go the full mile, they probably believed in their case